The Euros are upon us, and if the players don't get a break, then neither do we. But while most people are focused on the game's biggest stars that are going to feature in this tournament, we're going to kick it over to our Soccer Wonderkids department to take a look at some of the young players that are ready to make an impact on the international stage. Now, a tournament like this is not always the best place for young players to shine, but as more and more teams turn away from age and experience and into youth, we're going to see more young players than ever make an impact in this year's Euros. And we're going to break down the top 10 Wonderkids that are going to feature in this tournament next, here on Soccer Wonderkids at the Pitchside Pub. Which Wonderkids are going to get to play and for which teams? We've got you covered. We're going to dive into the top 10 Wonderkids that are going to feature at this year's Euros. But before we do that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me down below so you can follow the channel. Get down in that comment section. Let me know, did I miss somebody? Is the order wrong? Am I totally off base? Get down in that comment section. Let me know what you think. You can also leave some comments on Twitter at PitchsidePub and check out the website pitchsidepub.com for the full list of all the Wonderkids. Now, before we get into the list, we have to define the parameters of what makes a Wonderkid. Everybody has a different definition. Every account, every website uses different parameters to define a Wonderkid. For the sake of this list, we have said the player must be under 21 by the start of the Euros. That's the parameter we're using. So that rules out a lot of 21-year-olds that would have dominated this list. Players like Jamal Musiala and Florian Wirtz, Pedri, Xavi Simons, Eduardo Camavinga, and more. None of those players were eligible. Because let's face it, most of those guys are already established stars. We want this list to be about some up-and-coming players you might not know a lot about yet. So this list has a nice mix of stars and up-and-coming players that are going to feature in this tournament. Let's dive in.
Number 10.
19-year-old Belgian Arda Vermeeren was in the midst of a second season of consistent playing time for Royal Antwerp when Atletico Madrid came calling during the January transfer window with a €30 million offer that the Belgian heavyweights could not refuse. His playing time diminished after the move, but Atletico did not pay that much to have him watch games, so that should be a temporary setback as he adjusts. This will be the first major tournament for Vermeeren, who has just 3 friendlies and 4 minutes in the Euro qualifiers on his national team resume. But he's part of the next wave of Belgian stars that includes Charles de Keltier, Johan Bakayoko, and fellow Wonderkid Zeno de Bast, who just missed being on this list himself. He isn't expected to play a huge role in this tournament, but the experience he's going to gain could be crucial for his development as a centerpiece of future Belgian teams.
Number 9.
Another player coming off a January transfer, Adam Wharton was establishing himself as one of the best players at the championship level this season with his hometown Blackburn Rovers until Crystal Palace came calling with a €10 million offer that now looks like an absolute steal. Wharton was likely one of the last additions to the English squad as the final piece of what has turned into a formidable midfield. In manager Gareth Southgate's typical double pivot formation, Wharton will find himself behind mainstay Declan Rice and a rotation of Conor Gallagher, fellow Wonderkid Kobbie Mainoo, and fullback Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's likely to slide into a midfield role on this roster, and possibly even lose playing time to all-world player Jude Bellingham should Southgate decide to load the lineup with an extra attacker. Regardless of if he sees the pitch much in this tournament, Wharton's abilities as a progressive passer and a ball-hawking defender willing to go in for a tackle will serve him well on this and future England rosters to come.
Number 8.
A €15 million investment from Bournemouth will earn you some playing time, but so will being a 20-year-old left-back who can run for days and is unafraid to stick a boot in on a dribbler. Joining the Cherries from Eredivisie side AZ Alkmaar, Milos Kerkez is one of the lesser-known players on this list, but is loaded with potential. He came to Bournemouth with a reputation as a strong creator from the fullback position, known for his progressive passes and shot creation. That didn't translate nearly as well in the Premier League, and it'll be interesting to see if he regains that form in the Euros. He was a starter for the Hungarian squad in qualifiers, so he should get plenty of opportunities to showcase his game on the larger stage.
Number 7.
Probably the hardest player to rank on this list. There will be folks who say this is too high, and folks who say he shouldn't be here at all. But thus is the discourse surrounding Kobbie Mainoo, the promising young 19-year-old who anchored the midfield for Manchester United this season in a way that was incredibly impressive for a teenager, but disappointing by the club's impossible standards. Mainoo's strengths lie in his physicality and willingness to press the ball forward from a defensive midfield position. He's brought stability to United's midfield, which is no small task with their recent history of chaos, and his ability to handle the pressure of playing at Old Trafford should serve him well as he dons the Three Lions jersey on a bigger stage. With just 2 friendlies to his name, he's inexperienced on the international stage, and the England midfield is crowded. But someone is going to have to step up to play alongside Declan Rice, and if Mainoo gets the chance, it could easily be him.
Number 6.
You know the bar has been set high when 6 goals as a teenager for the European champions feels like a little bit of a disappointment, but such are the expectations for Arda Guler, the 19-year-old Turkish international who's commonly listed as a midfielder but featured more on the right wing for Real Madrid when he got to play this season. Above all else, Guler is an attacker with a knack for finding the goal. After missing the first half of the season due to injury, he returned to sporadic playing time, but he took advantage, netting 6 goals in just 377 La Liga minutes. He has only 254 international minutes to his credit, but if Turkey is looking for offensive impact, they need look no further. I'd expect him to get an occasional start and numerous appearances off the bench as an impact sub in games where Turkey needs a goal.
Number 5.
The Portuguese roster is extremely deep, and that may be the only reason we don't see Joao Neves establish himself as an impact international player over the course of the next month. Neves starred in a breakout campaign for Benfica this season, and is already on the radar of some of Europe's biggest clubs despite not yet turning 20. He's seen only limited time for the Portuguese national team thus far, but he's a core piece of their future over the next decade, and this year's tournament will be an opportunity to gain valuable experience. As a versatile midfielder known for his creativity and technical skills, Neves will likely be used off the bench, but he can be incorporated into a number of different positions within different formations, allowing Portugal to use him as an impact sub in multiple game situations.
Number 4.
Sticking in both Portugal and Benfica, our next Wonderkid is Antonio Silva, Neves' teammate on both squads. A physical 20-year-old defender, Silva is just a tick ahead of Neves in the experience department, having been a fellow starter all year at the club level, but also cracking the starting lineup in Portugal's qualifying efforts. A skilled traditional defender unafraid to take on dribblers, Silva is also skilled in build-up play with the ball at his feet. He's already gaining a lot of attention from Europe's biggest clubs, and he figures to feature heavily in the Portuguese defensive rotation in this tournament, giving him a chance to showcase himself on the continental stage.
Number 3.
Our youngest Wonderkid on the list, at still just 16 years old, Lamine Yamal announced himself to the world this season, establishing himself as a mainstay in the Barcelona lineup by the end of the season. He also made his international debut, making 6 appearances between friendlies and Euro qualifiers. Few can doubt Yamal's talent, and his future is obviously bright, but there is a question of how much gas he has left in the tank at the end of a long, first professional season. Still, with Spain in need of impact goal scorers, it's likely they turn to their starlet the same way Barcelona did this season, and Yamal has continued to deliver at every turn. Expect him to feature heavily and give us a few highlights to tantalize us for next season.
Number 2.
You would think that being just 18 years old and featuring heavily on a club that won the French League, won the French Domestic Cup, and made a deep Champions League run would automatically gain Warren Zaire-Emery the top spot on this list, but such is the depth of the Wonderkid world at the moment. Nevertheless, Zaire-Emery is a fantastic young player who's already established himself as one of the best young players in the world and is the only teenager on a deep French roster that is notoriously difficult to crack and is coming off a World Cup runner-up finish. Zaire-Emery is going to be a key piece of the next wave of French glory on the international stage, though with an incredibly deep roster as usual, it remains to be seen how much he's going to feature in this tournament. Still, even if he's not a regular starter, look for him to be an impact sub off the bench and he will get playing time.
Number 1.
No real shock at number 1 unless you didn't know exactly how old Jude Bellingham was, but he turns 21 during the Euros, which means he just barely qualifies for this list. And given that he's one of the best players in the entire world at any age, he's a clear runaway for any ranking of Wonderkids. He's the focal point of the favorites going into this tournament, coming off a La Liga championship and a Champions League championship. So there's no debating that he's the best Wonderkid in the entire world, let alone in the Euros. The most impressive part may be the fact that we can say all this while he's still even eligible for this list. Number 1 on this list might not be much of a debate, but 2 through 10 are wide open for discussion, so get down in that comment section while we recap this list one more time. Number 10, Arthur Vermeeren, Belgium. Number 9, Adam Wharton, England. Number 8, Milos Kerkez, Hungary. Number 7, Kobbie Mainoo, England. Number 6, Arda Guler, Turkey. Number 5, Joao Neves, Portugal. Number 4, Antonio Silva, Portugal. Number 3, Lamine Yamal, Spain. Number 2, Wharton Zaire-Emery, France. And number 1, Jude Bellingham, England. Did I miss anybody? Did I get the order wrong? Get down in that comment section. Let me know what you think. You can also leave comments on Twitter at PitchsidePub. While you're doing all that, hit that subscribe button for me down below. Support the channel for all of our videos and all of our commentary throughout the Euros and other international tournaments. And check out the website for the full list, pitchsidepub.com. Thanks as always for joining us here on Soccer Wonder Kids at the Pitchside Pub.